Welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. Today I have my friend Jeff Lester of Hunt Hard Outfitters and Hunt Hard Gear on the line. Jeff, how you doing?
Great, Jay. How are you?
Good. I look forward to speaking with you. Last time we talked, it was before the season, and let's start out and talk about New Mexico. How was the archery hunts in New Mexico?
Pretty terrible. I mean, it was...
I've heard that across the board. Tell us about
it. Probably, quite possibly the worst elk hunting season to date in my career.
From what standpoint, Jeff?
Well, let's back up here now. I had my own tag also that I hunted in New Mexico, and so in elk hunting terms, it wasn't that the elk hunting was just terrible. It was just the size is really bad. So horn growth is at probably one of the lowest I've ever seen. I mean, not to say there isn't a good bull here and a good bull there. I mean, I've seen a couple of really good bulls killed, but as a whole, it is really down. I'm guessing 40 to 60%. And I'm one guy, so I mean, like I said, I mean, I know of a number of really solid elk that were killed in the archery season, but as a whole, the bulls that we were hunting, we had a couple of decent, solid elk that we were hunting, but the days of, passing, the 320, 330 kind of bulls to hunt the 350 plus bulls, that was almost not existent in most of the units we were hunting. Some of the Gila units fared a little better. We had some guys in the first hunt and a couple of hunts, and we were hunting some pretty solid bulls. One exceptional bull that ended up actually getting killed, and it was a 387 by 7 that did get killed. So, but it was just like on my hunt personally, I saw in scouting and hunting, I saw probably 60 bulls, and I don't think I saw a bull over 315.
Wow. So are you talking bulls that would normally be a 356 by 6 for like a 300 or a 310 type, just total droughted backs, no fifth points, like just short beams?
Yeah, so what happened is I actually saw that I could actually tell there was 3 bulls in my hunt that I had located that were bulls that I had seen last year on the hoof. And one of those bulls was probably 40 inches smaller than smaller this year than he was last year. The other bull was a bull that was probably pushing 370 last year, and that bull might touch 320 this year.
Wow.
So, and I know those are the same bulls I hunted.
I mean, mostly droughted fifth. Is that what you're talking about as far as
so what you're
droughted fifth?
Yes, what you're seeing is you're seeing good front ends up to the 4th point. And then from the 4th point on, depending on where they were at growing in velvet on that 4th point, some of the bulls look like they literally came, like they started so late that, they're in the growing stage, and they started hardening up, at the end of August, and they just quit growing, hardened up, and rubbed off. So you're seeing real blunt back ends, blunt blunt fourths, and little crawdad pinchers for their 5th and 6th, Yeah. Really bad on the back end. And I saw multiple bulls that had that look. I can't even think of a bull that I saw with a big 5th in the unit I was hunting. And we ended up, like I said, we've killed, I think we killed 7 for 14 in archery season, and we did take a couple of, decent, nice, solid bull elk, but it was, we passed bulls looking for, real, something really solid, and it was tough, really tough to find that upper age class bull.
New Mexico?
Well, the September 1st hunt can be a kind of a bear of a hunt, because it's very rarely do you ever get, solid rut action in the 1st through the 7th. And then after that, things tend to pick up. And with the way the moon was this year, I kind of figured that second part of that hunt would be pretty decent. And we had a little bit of rut action, but it was really off as well. And I don't know if the dry weather has anything to do with those cows coming into estrus and stuff, but I mean, there was nothing to write home about. I mean, it was quiet, very, very tough. And then I just come off the Arizona hunts, and it was really super, super extremely hard, tough hunting in the units on the east side of the state. So I'm not, like I said. Go ahead.
When you talk about New Mexico specifically, the firearms hunt are going to be coming up here like the second week in October and what have you. What are you expecting for those? I'm sure you have hunters for some of those firearm seasons coming up in New Mexico. What's your thoughts? Potentially could you hear a lot of bugling in October because they didn't really bugle much in September? That's number one. And number two, with the the droughty conditions and antler growth, what are you thinking?
No, I won't expect those, the youth hunt, we probably will catch some rut action, but I'm expecting things to wind down around the 8th to the 10th. So those first gun hunts, I'm not expecting a ton of rut action on those hunts as well. I mean, like I said, I'm one guy, and with the guides and everything, the discussions we've had, some guys got into, of course, more rut action. The guys that were hunting the Gila units, they got into a lot more rut action there and had some, lot of vocalization with the bulls. So, certain places it's pockety and certain places, were really, really good, and so I'm expecting that rut, to start tapering off the same as it normally does,
Okay. Let's take a quick break here to hear from the sponsors, and then I want to dive in and talk about Arizona and your experiences there. I want to thank GoHunt.com. Cody Nelson, my friend, is the new optics manager. He's the glassing guru, the optics authority. If you guys have any need for binoculars, spotting scopes, rifle scopes, tripods, anything to do with optics, give Cody Nelson a call at 702-847-8747. That's extension 2, or you can send him an email directly that he gets immediately at optics@gohunt.com. He's promised that he will take care of the J. Scott Outdoors podcast listeners. So give Cody a call. I also want to thank KUIU.com. Obviously, the hunting community is still in disarray and still in disbelief of the passing of Jason Harrison, the founder of KUIU. But it's been awesome to see the KUIU Nation reach out and support each other and support the company. I want to thank KUIU, that's KUIU.com, for their sponsorship of this podcast. And then Canyon Coolers. If you guys are in the market for a new cooler, make sure to use the JScott promo code. Check out CanyonCoolers.com. You're going to get a 10% discount. Jeff, New Mexico sounds rough. Arizona, you just got off the archery hunts in Arizona, I believe in Unit 1 and 27. Were they better than New Mexico as far as antler growth? And how did they compare with the bugling?
For the antler growth, I would say Arizona fared a little better, even though we were just as dry. Many of the New Mexico units are arid to begin with, which they don't have a lot of natural water. I'm not saying there's not a few springs, but there's a couple of units we hunt that literally have hardly any natural water in them, and it's only cattle water, windmills, dirt tanks. And the country right now looks beautiful because we really got hammered this monsoon season. So the feed on the ground is super heavy, looks beautiful, looks great, but everything just came too late. And Arizona and New Mexico coming off one of the driest, or at least this region of western New Mexico and eastern Arizona is coming off one of the driest consecutive 12 months in like 75 years. So Arizona did fare better, mainly because you have a little more natural water. We have some creeks and better springs, and they're mountainous units, the same as the Gila. So if you stretch the Gila over into Unit 1 and 27, you get that kind of that same that same terrain, those elk fared a little better. You know, they had a little bit of maybe riparian area, or they had, you know, some of these bulls probably camped out close to springs. They got some good green feed and browse, so they fared a little better. And it's not to say there hasn't been some giants killed. I mean, there has been some true giants killed, and but as a whole, the elk have suffered. You know, I've even heard that the San Carlos and the Fort Apache are down. Whether that's true or not, I mean, I'm just speaking from what I've heard, that they are down from you know, on horn growth as well. So Arizona, you know, I just got off a 14-day archery hunt. You know, we were hunting 1 in 27. You know, 1 fared better than 27, I would say, as in rut action. The guys in 1 were getting into a lot more, you know, bugling bulls and a lot of, you know, bigger groups of elk and stuff. 27, probably the poorest archery hunt I've seen ever.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow.
No comparison. Worst archery season on record by far.
Let me ask you a question. For those guys out there, say, that like Unit 27, I mean, I know you love Unit 27. If this year kind of sucks across the board from a harvest perspective and from just bugling and all around, do you think they'll create some holdover bulls where, with the great moisture that we've had, and if we could have some, you know, decent winter moisture, I mean, that next year there potentially could be some great holdover bulls?
Well, that's interesting you asked that, Jay, because that gets right into, you know, the movement of elk. And we, you know, for the last few years, myself and a number of other guides and outfitters have talked about how Unit 1 during the archery hunts has picked up a lot more elk, meaning we feel like a lot of these bulls and even maybe cows are coming out of 27 and moving into 1 during the archery season, and then in the late hunts you may get a big influx of bulls back into 27. Now, whether that is really happening or not, I mean, again, this is my opinion, and I have seen that. I feel that is kind of what is happening. And then when the late rifle hunt comes on, you know, we have a super high amount of late rifle tags in 27 this year, and they added 50 more late rifle tags to Unit 1. So after this season, the way the age class has been getting whittled down over the last 4 or 5 years, it's going to be really interesting to know what we are going to have for holdover. And that's all if people are passing the bulls. Now, you know, people are, you know, if they continue to search and hunt for what is better, or if they're going to start taking what is left. And if they start taking what is left, we could be in for some tough years if the numbers don't get cut on certain places. And again, this is my opinion. Whether someone agrees with me or not, this, you know, I'm not a biologist.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah, I'm entitled to my opinion.
Exactly.
And, you know, but let's, you know, I honestly believe that, let's not talk trophy. Let's not talk trophy numbers. Let's just talk amount of elk. I believe the amount of elk in some of these units is at an all-time low. Now, whether I'm right or wrong, I'm just saying, I've been hunting these units for 25 years. I grew up here. I'm born and raised in Springerville, Eager. So I've been in these woods my whole life, and every year it seems to get a little tougher. And, you know, you've got the wolves, you've got, you know, the coyote situation right now is off the hook. I've never seen and heard so many coyotes in all my life in the woods this year. It's really, I mean, really bad that the coyotes just really getting after it in the morning, really shut the elk up a lot. Just kind of a little strange, you know, so it's not that, you know, to the listeners out there, people are like, well, I've got all these points, you know, and for years we put people in for these units based off what we have done in the past. So we tell hunters, oh, this is a great hunt, one of the best hunts in the state, and it always has been. Well, things have started to change, so we're having to, you know, back up when we sell these hunts and say, hey, this is right now is in a time where it's not what it once was. In the sheer numbers of the elk, there's not very much competition for, a bull and his cows. You don't have the satellite bulls that are trailing the herds of elk. Where the two big groups of elk are in the unit I was hunting, there was just tons of people hunting them, and there was lots of young 3- and 4-year-old bulls that didn't break 300 inches. So, we didn't really pay attention to that now. So, right. In this last hunt, I hunted an absolute giant bull. It's the bull I've told the story on the podcast before about my 2016 tag myself, that there was a bull that wore me out pretty much, and I just couldn't keep up with him. And we located that bull this year. We found him again, and we hunted him for 14 days straight. I lost 19 pounds in the last 3 weeks. And the bull was, I want to almost say he was unkillable, because, we had him dead 3 or 4 times solid, but we just didn't get it done. And he ended up getting killed yesterday. Brad Hale killed the bull yesterday. Super bull, great bull.
How big?
And I had him at low 90s to upper mid 90s, 395. Whether I'm right or wrong, I could be off a little bit. The bull's super massive. It's got a super, great look. Just a stud of a bull. I called him Wishbone because his front eye guards split. They came away from his nose, probably 2 foot, or 19, 20 inches from tip to tip on his on his eye guards.
Wow.
And he really split out wide, and the bull's really massive. Like I said, I hunted him in 2016 for 8 days, and then I lost him. And I located him second day of the hunt this year and hunted him the entire season. And, just couldn't put it together. And there was some other guys that were hunting him as well. And he eluded a lot of guys over the last, few hunting seasons. So this bull was really wily, and he was in super, super nasty, rough country. So he was really hard to keep up with when he'd go to move, And but anyway, so like I said, there's some giant bulls still. It's not like there's always in that 27 in one country. Especially in 27, there's bulls that can get away and find holes to live, throughout the late rifle hunts. So my hat's off to Brad. Brad killed him, and it's a great bull, and, he's a local here in town, and, he's guides, and Dad's an outfitter, and so he got it done and got him killed in the rifle, in the trophy hunt.
Awesome.
So
awesome. That's cool. I can't wait to see pictures of that.
I just posted it on my Instagram, the video of him, because now, since he's dead, I guess I'd posted a video of him, of the bull. Like I said, he's a beautiful bull, and
now,
but the rut action that the what?
Was he bigger in 16?
No, I don't think he was bigger. I had a discussion with another guy that kind of knew about the bull, and he thought he was bigger in 16. I did not think he was. But it's definitely the bull I hunted in 16. It's the exact same look. He just put on a little more length and a lot more mass. I think he was lacking on his fifths, a little bit on his back end, and that could have been part of this drought. But he was lacking on his back end a little bit this year compared to last. And the rut action, very, very spotty in these units over here. Certain, a lot of guys give reports of the elk in 1 being talking a lot more, and the bulls in 27 being spotty. Mornings were mostly done by 8 o'clock. There was nothing happening. Out of 14 evenings, I had 2 evenings of rutting elk.
Wow.
Where I heard bugles. I had multiple, maybe 8 evenings where I never heard an elk bugle until after dark.
Wow.
Now, I'm hunting pockets, and I was hunting a bull, so you know as well as I do, Jay, that changes things. But the guides were having pretty tough evenings as well. I know some guys over in 3A, 3C, they were getting into a lot more rut action. It's a completely different terrain, completely different unit. But they were getting into, it sounded like a lot more rut action than we were in some of the units we were, like, 27 and stuff. So I don't know. I think it's kind of spread across the board. I've had different reports from so many different units, 9 and 10 and 7 West and different places, how things were really off up there as well, so I don't know. I don't know what to put it on. I just definitely think our elk numbers have taken a beating due to the higher tag numbers in the late rifle hunts. And, guys with points, it'll be a discussion we have, like, what do we do with the clients that have points and people that are looking for a good quality elk hunt? I'm not saying some of these hunts aren't still really good. And hopefully there is some holdover for next year.
Just have to adjust the expectation level, right?
The what?
Just have to adjust the expectation level. The challenge as an outfitter always is you're trying to get a client for the hunt, and you're talking to other guys, and it's like, man, if I adjust the expectation level too much, they're not going to go with me. So I know it's always
I've seen that happen numerous times in my career. I lose hunters because I simply tell the truth. And you try to tell people that people want to be told that they're going to kill a huge bull.
Right.
And I simply am not that outfitter. I just won't tell people that. I mean, like right now, I don't have a trophy hunter. I could have hunted Wishbone and killed him with a hunter, and I just didn't have a hunter because people that called this year, I had guys that wanted me. I had a guy that basically asked me to guarantee him a 380 plus bull, and I said I won't do it. I said we'll hunt, and I said I'm sure I'll find a good solid bull to hunt in archery season, and if we're lucky enough, we'll put a bullet in him in the trophy hunt. And some of these guys went with other outfitters. I'm just not that guy that I'm just not going to just blow smoke just to cash someone's check.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, looking forward, Arizona late rifle hunts. Number one, do you have any openings for the units that you hunt on the late hunt? That's number one. And number two, what do you anticipate? How will the hunt be?
I do have openings still left on the late rifle hunts. I have kind of one of the lower bookings that I've had in a number of years this year, and I had a cancellation on a guy as well. So I do have a couple of spots left for the late rifle hunts in 1 or 27. And then my expectations are, and this kind of goes into New Mexico as well. I'll have talks with the hunters when they come. We'll sit down the evening before the hunt, and we kind of go over the year and kind of what to expect. And I expect guys to, if people are, paying to hunt, I want them to be happy with the hunt. So if they choose to shoot a lesser bull than maybe they had expected, that's their choice. But in New Mexico especially, we like guys to, we had some archery hunters, and my hat's off to those guys. They passed bulls, and they said, hey, it's not the best of the year. We'll come back next year, and we'll give it heck, and we'll try to get after it, and hopefully there'll be some good holdover, and we'll have some moisture, and the bulls will be better. That doesn't always happen. Some people will shoot bulls that are 30 or 40 inches smaller than normal, and that's ultimately their choice. And we try to, we're not trying to say yes or no, but it's just the facts. So I'm expecting this late rifle hunt to be, it's going to be, an average hunt. It's for size. There'll be a few big giant bulls probably shot that made it, and I know of some bulls that didn't get killed in archery season that should be back in the late rifle hunts, and so, but it's going to be, the average is going to be down. I'm guessing if you were to do an average score, of the average bull taken that's a 6x6 or better, I'm guessing 20 or 30 inches smaller than normal will be about the average. Lots of 280 to 300 inch bulls out there right now. Lots of that. So, and then next year, it's going to be, depending on the winter we have, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what we have as our crop next year. So I don't know, man. It's I've racked my brain trying to figure all of this out, and to try to answer the questions of the hunters and to fulfill their expectations. When you built your business off killing trophy class bulls, it can make for tough seasons on years like this, because I don't necessarily really like shooting bulls that are way droughted out, because that it's that kind of year. But guys that waited for a long time to get these tags, they want to go home with an elk, and I don't blame them for that.
Right.
And it's not always about the trophy. The hunt has a lot to do with it, and I've been able to, some of my New Mexico guys have understood that, and I always, I tell people, if you're going on one elk hunt in your lifetime, it could be different than if you've hunted elk multiple times and you have the ability to say, well, I'm going to pass this year and I'm going to hunt and I'm going to try to kill a good bull, but if we don't, then I'll push it off to another year. And, you get that 50-50 hunter that is willing to do that or not willing to do that, and that's, the trophy is in the eye of the beholder. It's not to say that a 320 bull is not a trophy to some people. It is, and that's fine. And I have nothing against that. So, meat in the freezer is meat in the freezer, And
sure.
we'll just have to hope for better years when it comes to, horn growth and the quality of the bulls we're killing, and even the better bulls that have been killed this year, you look at their back ends and it's a great big old bull, and then his back end is lacking. It's just that in the end, I almost think these elk shed late. A lot of these bulls dropped their antlers really late, and they just didn't have that growing season that they normally get. So, I don't know.
Well, that makes sense. Well, Jeff, I really appreciate you spending time with us, giving us an update on New Mexico and Arizona. I want to give you a chance to let people know how they can reach out to you, how they can find you, follow you, talk to you, what have you. So would you do that, please? And I'll try and link it up in the show notes as well.
On Instagram, we're hunthard_gear. That's our Instagram handle. And then Facebook is, Hunt Hard on Facebook, and hunthard.com. And then go under the Outfitter and Guide section there to find us on the web. And then, of course, anybody that needs to, call me direct is 928-245-2668. That's my cell, and that's my direct. And the text messages are always best during hunting season. If you're interested in looking at booking a hunt for this year or next year, that's how you get a hold of us, a hold of me directly.
Jeff, I always appreciate having you on. I appreciate your straightforward the way you do things, and love hearing the stories, and God bless you, man. Thanks. We'll be chatting down the road. Wish you the best on the follow-up on the firearm seasons in New Mexico and Arizona, and we'll have to recap after those and see how you did, okay?
10-4. Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, Jay.
All right, buddy. God bless. Take care.
Okay. See ya.